Hi, Father Joe, priest here at St Mary's, standing in front of the beautiful stained glass window. I'd like to tell you a story, if I may. This is the story of two people who lived next door to each other. In one house was Elizabeth. She lived by herself. Next door lived Mark, who was married to Susan, and they had 3 small children. That evening, Elizabeth had been sitting at her table, having had her supper, and thought to herself, this isn't really fair. I've got quite a lot of stuff, food and things like that, and I live by myself. Next door to me is dear Mark. Now, Mark lives with his wife and his 3 children. I'm sure I could give some of my stuff to them. So that evening, thinking very carefully, she got out a couple of those lovely recyclable carrier bags you get and carefully filled them with stuff. There was tins of favourite food and bits and pieces like that. And quietly, she snuck around the back of her house, opened a small gate that went between the 2 gardens, and crept quietly into the back of Mark and Susan's house and slowly unloaded all of these bits and pieces quietly as she could and carefully as she could for Mark and Susan and their kids. And then very quietly again, she crept off down the path through that gate in the fence back to her house. By that point, it was quite late, and she decided to go and tuck herself up to bed and go to sleep. Well, next door, during the night, Mark and Susan had been having a conversation. And Mark had said, it's not really fair. Dear Elizabeth next door lives by herself. I'm very lucky, I've got a wife and kids, but she doesn't live with anybody. Maybe that's the way she wants it, but it just doesn't seem fair and right that we have all this stuff. You know what? I think I'm going to give some to her. And he went downstairs and he got a couple of those nice recyclable bags and very carefully selected from their stuff things that he thought Elizabeth might like. And quietly and carefully, first thing in the morning, before the sun came up, he crept along quietly down the garden, through the gate, back down Elizabeth's garden, to her larder, and very slowly put all of those things on the shelves, and crept quietly back, as quietly as he could, so as not to disturb anybody, and certainly so he wasn't found out. Well, that evening, as Elizabeth was preparing her food for supper, she said, I've still got too much stuff in this larder. I really think I need to drop some more off. So she got a couple of those recyclable bags, the ones you get in the supermarket, and very carefully and gently filled them up with bits and pieces that she thought next door would like. And very quietly and very carefully, she crept round the corner, down the garden, through the gate, back down the garden, and slowly put those things on the shelves next door. And as quietly as she could, she crept back down the garden, through the gate, back down the path. When she'd done that, she felt comfortable and fell asleep, went to bed. Well, during the night, Mark had spent some time in the first thing in the morning looking into his larder. He thought, we've still got too much stuff, and next door they haven't got as much as I'm sure. So he got a couple of those recyclable bags from the supermarket, and he filled them full of stuff and crept down the garden, through the gate, down the garden, and put them back on the line. And so this went on. And both Elizabeth and Mark in their various homes just couldn't understand why it was, even though they gave stuff away, they always seemed to have more than they needed. Well, it came to a head one evening when when Elizabeth had decided after supper to sit and watch her favourite TV programme, but during the TV programme fell fast asleep. She'd completely missed her opportunity. So when she woke up with a rush, first thing in the morning, she said, I need to go and give my stuff to next door. So quickly she went downstairs and she filled up a couple of those recyclable bags you get from the supermarket full of stuff and started to walk down her garden path. Well, at the same point next door, Mark had been putting stuff into his 2 recyclable shopping bags. And as he went down the path too, and as they got to the garden gate, they both tried to open the gate at the same time. And they saw each other holding their bags. Well, you can imagine their surprise. They put down their bags, laughed, gave each other a hug, and then had a nice cup of coffee. Always the thing to do first thing in the morning. Well, that is how we can treat the stuff in this world. Rather than trying to keep it all for ourselves, if we can find a way to generously share, we will be so surprised that as we share, so we get back. I think it was the writer Paul in the Bible who once said, when we give, we are given back, pressed down and running over. So, this harvest time, let's always try and think about how we can be generous and how we can help others. I hope you've enjoyed this short story, and I look forward to telling you another one at some point soon. Take care. Have a good day.